Hi, Assalamualaikum. So my name is Mubasyir Zulhaidi and my matric number is 271632. So today I will be presenting one of the intangible cultural heritage in Japan, which is the Nogaku Theatre. So to start with, cultural heritage is not a term that refers only to so-called tangible cultural heritage such as ruins and buildings. Just like tangible cultural heritage, intangible culture such as traditional music, dance, performing arts, and craftsmanship are also important forms of cultural heritage that are closely linked together with each country's history, culture, and lifestyle customs. So, as we know, intangible cultural heritage is an important treasure by every country, including Japan. As for now, there are 22 elements listed by UNESCO as intangible cultural heritage in Japan, and one of it was the Nogaku Theatre. So the Nogaku Theatre was originally proclaimed in 2001 and was inscribed in 2008 on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Next, let's continue a bit with the background of the Nogaku Theatre. The peak of Nogaku Theatre was in the 14th and 15th centuries, but it originally began in the 7th century when the Sangaku was conveyed from China to Japan. At the period, the name Sangaku refers to a variety of performances that included acrobats, song and dance, and even comedy skits. Its eventual absorption into Japanese culture resulted in the incorporation of various traditional art forms. Nogaku is the primary form of Japanese theatre today, and it has impacted both puppet theatre and even kabuki theatre. So next, let us continue with the domains of Nogaku Theatre. Instances of intangible cultural heritage are not limited to a single manifestation, and many include elements from multiple domains. As for Nogaku Theatre, it incorporates three domains, which are oral tradition and expressions, performing arts, and traditional craftsmanship. So the first domain is the oral tradition and expressions. The oral traditions and expression domain encompasses an enormous variety of spoken forms, including proverbs, riddles, tales, nursery rhymes, legend, myths, epic songs and poems, charms, prayers, chants, songs, dramatic performances, and more. Oral traditions and expression are used to pass on knowledge, cultural and social values, and collective memory. They play a crucial part in keeping cultures alive. So the next domain is the performing arts. The performing arts range from vocal and instrumental music, dance, and theatre to pantomime, sung verse, and beyond. They include numerous cultural expressions that reflect human creativity and that are also found to some extent in many intangible cultural heritage domains. So the last domain is traditional craftsmanship. Traditional craftsmanship is perhaps the most tangible manifestation of intangible cultural heritage. However, the 2003 convention is mainly concerned with the skills and knowledge involved in craftsmanship rather than the craft products. Rather than focusing on preserving each object, safeguarding attempts should instead concentrate on encouraging artisans to continue to produce craft and to pass their skills and knowledge on to others, particularly within their own communities. So next, we are moving on to the concepts connected to Nogaku Theatre. So there are a variety of concepts connected to Nogaku Theatre, such as costumes, dance, drama education, emotion, folk literature, humor, instrumental music, legendary creatures, legends, masks, orchestras, percussion instruments, representative literary works, theatre, and lastly vocal music. So Nogaku Theatre, which is often based on stories from traditional literature, incorporates masks, costumes, and different props in a dance-oriented performance. Furthermore, modern theatre requires highly skilled performance and musicians. Nogaku includes two styles of theatre, which is No and Kyogen. So both of which are performed in the same location. The stage projects into the crowd and is connected to a hall of mirrors backstage via a walkway. Emotions are portrayed in No via stylized conventional movements. The hero is frequently a supernatural figure who assumes human form to tell a narrative. The distinctive mask for which No is renowned are used for the roles of ghosts, women, children, and old people. Kyogen, on the other hand, relies less on the use of mask and is derived from the humorous place of the sangaku as reflected in its comic dialogue. The text is written in ancient language and vividly describes the ordinary people of the 12th to 16th centuries. So lastly, we will be discussing about the safeguarding of the Nogaku Theatre. As we already know, Japan is very prominent in the efforts in safeguarding the intangible cultural heritage to ensure that this intangible cultural heritage live on through the upcoming generations. So realizing how important it is for the preservation of an intangible cultural assets like the Nogaku Theatre, which possess a high historical and artistic value for the country, multiple activities for the preservation of the Nogaku Theatre is very muchly needed. For instance, special grant for recognized individual holders, subsidy for training of successors, subsidy for the activity of opening the properties to the public, training workshop of traditional performing arts at the National Theatre of Japan, and lastly, an audiovisual documentation of the Nogaku Theatre. So these things might help in the preservation of the Nogaku Theatre. Apart from that, different organizations in Japan could also participate in preserving the Nogaku Theatre, such as the Agency for Cultural Affairs, the ACA, which is responsible in promoting culture and arts and preserving and utilizing cultural properties. I think that is all for the presentation of the Nogaku Theatre of Japan. Thank you and see you again.